Alright, y'all, it is evening here, Saturday evening, but it's still a little chilly outside, so I decided that I would make a video about how to make caldo de pollo. Pretty much you can say it's Mexican chicken soup. I've already got my chicken here on the stove. I just put it on to boil, so it will be done shortly, but I'm not really worried so much about the chicken right at this moment. I want everything else to be ready while it's cooking because it doesn't need to be fully cooked before I need to get everything in there. So here we're going to start in on the vegetables. So here I have large ears of corn. I have 3 more over here. I'm going to just cut these in half, approximately. It doesn't have to be anything identical. If you've seen my last video on my channel, it was definitely not perfect by any stretch either. So, I'll just leave that there. Trying to keep a little bit of the hairs off of there. I remember that there were some on here, and I don't remember which side it was. Maybe I didn't. Okay. If you see any hairs, then you can always take them off. If not, then don't worry about it. If you take them straight out of the cob, you may still have to take quite a bit of this off. So it's not a big deal if somebody gets a little bit of corn hairs, I guess is the word, in their teeth. Not a big deal, but at the same time it can be unpleasant. So I'm just going to get that. This one's going to go in half. You want it to be as halved as possible if you're going to do this. If you want to have large corn on the cob, feel free. Absolutely. It is delicious, so why not, right? If you're not diabetic like me, you probably don't got to worry about it as much. And then, of course, the last one. There we go. There's that. Now, here on this side, I have a larger bag of baby carrots. I'm probably going to dump all those in there. Some people prefer to use large carrots and dice them up into large chunks. But honestly and truthfully, I see no reason to have to add extra work for yourself. So yeah, baby carrots. Alright, next in this process is chopping up, you can say, dicing, but in large chunks. This is the zucchini, okay? This, you can obviously do this. I like to do kind of almost like diagonal lines. It looks a little prettier. You probably can't see it very much on the video itself, but if you can see, like, there's an angle there. I like to do that because I saw it with somebody else and I just like the way that it looked. But if you want to do it straight, that's how I did it at the very beginning when I was first learning to make this. So and there we go with that. I just threw the little end to one of my dogs because they're little, I call them my veggie junkies. So they both absolutely love almost any kind of vegetable. The big one, the only one that he will not really eat very well is like celery. If you can see, I've got this bowl here on the side. It's just kind of keeping everything there so that everything's ready to go. And I just noticed that the chicken is getting ready to start to boil. So, of course, I'm about to take off that espuma, the frothy type stuff that comes up on the top. Okay, of course, I've got this angled down towards my pot. I'm trying to take off this frothy stuff off the top. It just makes for a cleaner, prettier broth. It may or may not make it taste any better, but it does look prettier and it looks cleaner. And I just like that. As you can see, maybe, I can't tell if you can see, this right here is garlic. And then right here, I've got some onion. And of course, that just gives a lovely flavor to that garlic as well. You don't necessarily have to have that in there, but I would highly recommend it. The only thing wrong with this pot is just that it's so tall right now. So it makes it a little bit harder for y'all to be able to see well what I'm doing maybe, but I'm just trying to get everything taken up off the top. Okay, it's going to continue to bubble up, so You just want to keep at it for a little bit. Once it starts to boil, probably most of any kind of bubbles or frothiness that you might see will actually just be the boiling instead of actual, what my sister-in-law would call chuquiento. It's just if there is any gamey flavor left in that chicken, it will take care of that. And I don't think that it necessarily happens much here in the U.S. because our chicken is already taken care of, cleaned and everything. And of course in Mexico, a lot of times you can buy it straight alive at some kind of a marketplace and things like that. So you want to make sure that you have everything cleaner, and thus the onion and the garlic as well. But even if it's clean and everything like that here, it does make for a much better tasting broth as well. So I always still do it if I possibly can. That's just about as ready as it's going to be. And probably before I start to put all the veggies in there, I'm going to have to take out that garlic and that onion, because of course you don't want that to, it would be wonderful if it could cook with everything, but you don't want to accidentally serve a bowl of soup and then all of a sudden somebody gets a huge mouthful of garlic or a mouthful of onion or anything like that. That is definitely not pleasant. So you're going to want to take it out before you start adding any more of the vegetables. Okay, so I'm taking out that garlic. And I think that I'll probably pause the video for now, because I think that probably y'all are going to get more steam in the video than anything else. And so I will show you as soon as I'm ready to get the next step going. Because yes, this is starting to become the boiled froth instead of anything that would have to do with the chicken itself. So I'm just going to take out this garlic. I'm going to take out this onion, because I try, as I put in one of my most recent videos, I try to make sure to put in a clove of garlic per chicken breast. Okay. So now I'm going to turn down that heat. It's now down to medium. And I'm going to add the corn on the cob that I just cut up. Alright. You want to put it in there gently, because for obvious reasons you don't want boiling water to come splash up at you. Oops. Alright. And then there we go with that. Now we can finish chopping up the rest of our vegetables. Putting that lid on there keeps some of that heat in, so everything will cook nicely, maybe even a teeny bit quicker. Okay, next we have chayote. It is a type of squash used quite a bit in Mexican cooking. I'm not 100% sure about what other Hispanics might use it, but I definitely know that Mexicans love their chayote. It's got a very earthy or dirt flavor, but the wonderful thing about it is that it generally takes on whatever flavors that you're actually cooking otherwise. Now this is kind of too thin really to cook, but you know what? I'm going to still put it in there. So, and then everything else we want somewhat larger chunks, but you don't want it to be too crazy big. Okay. Things like this, that is definitely way too small, so you can discard that to the side. And I just noticed that this part right here, chayotes usually don't have that, but that probably has got to do with some kind of a stem, something like that. You can always cut it off, because I'm not familiar with it looking like that. So there we go. Looks pretty again. And then I can leave any and all of my trash here where my corn on the cob was. Then I'm going to do the next one the same way. And I'll be back in a moment once it's done. Alright, as you can see, the next part is potatoes. So I probably may not use all these potatoes, but I wanted to have plenty for just in case. And these are going to be, like I said, cubed or diced or whatever is the word, somewhat larger, just like the zucchini, somewhat like the chayote. I know that the zucchini was probably a little bit bigger than the chayote, but at the same time, you still want larger chunks, okay? There's still plenty, and I'm just getting it pretty much till that bowl's full over here, and after that, I'll be ready to dump all these veggies into that soup, because by that time, probably the water's going to be plenty warm, the corn would be enough cooked, and the chicken will be enough cooked by the time that everything is cooked together. That ended up being a little bit off, but you know, hey, rustic. We can call it rustic. It's getting there. Getting the thing a little bit full. I just noticed that looks like it's got a teeny little piece in it that may need to come out. I don't know if it's even bad or if it's a good thing. Who knows? But I'll take it out just to make sure nobody can say, ew, right? Especially when I have little mouths here in my house that tend to go, ew, a whole lot quicker. Okay, I think I might do 1 or 2 more of these, and then this will be ready to get into this pot. Alright, I think that may be, I think I'm going to do one little one, because I absolutely love potatoes, and probably maybe I shouldn't. And one thing I can tell you, if you're trying to do keto, just take out the corn on the cob, because I know that that would not be keto, and use radishes instead of potatoes. Okay, because I have used radishes in caldo before, and nobody noticed. Well, let me put it this way. Nobody said that it didn't taste as good. So here I've got all my vegetables together, and it's ready to get into the pot. Okay, and before I start to put these vegetables in, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to add a bit of salt. It may still need a bit after we get it on the table, but I've always learned that you can always add more salt. You cannot take any away, so it's highly recommendable to go ahead and just do what you think that is good. And then if you need more, add more to each portion, or add a little bit more to the pot after you've tasted it, that kind of thing. But in the meantime, we're just going to start doing this. I've got all of these. I've got all these, not all of them, but I've got some of the vegetables. I'm going to just take them and dump them off towards the side. Why? That way it's not going to splash up at me. It can be very painful if that water is so hot and boiling and all of a sudden you have stuff coming in and splashing up at you. Okay, and we got a little bit more. Then I'm going to go ahead and dump the rest gently. There we go. And then I'm going to get these carrots and put them in there as well. Okay, and that should be good for a little bit. I'm going to cover that up and let it sit for probably about 5-10 minutes, and then I'll check the vegetables, probably another 5 minutes or so. And in that meantime, I'm going to go ahead, and if you love cabbage, it's time to get some cabbage ready for this. Okay, here I've got cabbage. I'm going to cut it in half because that will make doing kind of shredding it, or whatever is the word that I'm looking for, it makes that a bit easier, okay? And this one is tough. Then you just want to roughly shred it or dice it, or whatever is the word that I'm even looking for. Cut it up. Has to be in no rhyme or rhythm. You just want it to do like this. Now, of course, this here is optional. Okay, so no need to worry about this if you don't like cabbage. Okay, next step. Put just a little bit of olive oil. Well, oil. It doesn't have to be olive oil. Some type of oil that you would use for frying. I have used coconut oil. I've used olive oil. I have used mazola in the past. And of course, that is corn oil. But whatever kind of oil that you prefer to use to fry things up. I'm going to kind of get that a little bit spread around the bottom. It doesn't necessarily have to all the way. So, I'm going to take this cabbage that I just cut up. I've got this on medium-high heat. Just dumping that in there. And as you begin to cook it, of course, it will separate itself. I think I am going to add just a teeny itsy bitsy bit little more oil. Even though as you take it out, you're going to want to try to drain some of that oil. So however you take it out needs to be a way that some of that oil will drain. Then I'm going to put a little salt in it. Just kind of stir that up. Okay, I'm going to need to check on them veggies. If they're done, then I can turn the soup off and leave it be. And we're very close to done. And in the meantime, I'm going to just put a lid on this thing and let it kind of wilt. That's what you're looking for it to wilt. And that's how it cooks. Okay, over here for my vegetables, I'm going to just pick one up, like the zucchini. I'm going to try to stick a fork through it, and it's not done yet, so definitely not even close. So I'm going to put another 5 minutes on there. And typically, all of those vegetables should cook around the same amount of time. They should pretty much be ready in about the same amount of time. Now we can keep stirring this up. You don't want it to leave it for too long because then it can tend to burn, which if it toasts a little bit, and even burns a teeny little bit, it's not necessarily a bad thing. That can actually have a very good flavor. But you definitely want it to wilt. That's what I'm mostly looking for. See there, that's what I'm talking about. I'm turning that down to medium. I still need some of it to cook while the rest of it's getting all browned up. Here we go with one of the last steps, is cilantro. It is very similar as far as in herb class as parsley, but it has a completely different flavor. So definitely never try to say, oh, I have some parsley, let me just say that, you know, I'll use this instead. It's not going to work, I promise. The other thing I was going to mention is every time that I have ever seen anybody using cilantro, as far as, especially with Mexican cooking, it's often used with tacos and things like that, but they always take off the stems. Only the leaves are used. I have used the stems before when I was making salsa if I didn't have enough leaves, but otherwise I don't generally use the stems per se. And then you can actually fold it in half because that helps it to get cut a little bit quicker. And it's just kind of like one of those uneven dicing, just till it looks good. till it looks like it's well cut up. This is probably about as fast as you'll ever see me cutting anything up. I have always been the kind that kind of takes my time. Okay. And there, that is ready for the soup, and it sounds like it needs to get checked. Which actually, I'm gonna check this cabbage first. It's starting to look really, really good. You can see that it's starting to really wither. It still has got a little bit to go, so I'm going to turn it down even more because I want to make sure that it's good and wilted before I start putting it in the caldo. And I'm not even going to put this in for my kids because I know they really don't like cabbage, so I'm being nice to them. Okay, here we go with checking these vegetables again. It's been approximately 10, maybe 11 minutes that they've been in here so that I can give y'all a guesstimate. And this is definitely tender. Let me see if I can get some of the potatoes. Okay, now I see these potatoes. Oh wow, those zucchini were a whole lot more tender than the potatoes were. Okay. Well then, we're going to leave this here for a few more minutes to keep cooking. And hopefully in about another 5 minutes, everything will be good. Hopefully the zucchini won't have overcooked on accident. Oops. But that's pretty rare that it would do that. Okay, my cabbage is done. So I'm going to set this off to the side since I'm going to be putting this for my caldo, but I'm not going to put it in my boil. So I'm going to just set this aside. Once I'm ready to get it out, I will use some kind of something like this to pick it up, to take it out of there. Or even you could use something like a slotted spoon or something like that. That way you can get some of that oil to drain off. Alright, now it's time to check the caldo to see how the veggies are. Now I'm going to check this out. Let's see if I can find especially some, here we got some potato, I think. But I'm going to see if I can't pull some up from towards the bottom. Alright, it's just about there. It'll need a couple more minutes. And in the meantime, actually, it doesn't really matter. I can go ahead and add the cilantro, just like this. Then it starts to blend beautifully with those flavors. I'm going to go ahead and stir it up a teeny little bit more. And that'll be done in about 2 minutes because those potatoes are pretty much, those are the only things that are still kind of holding out. Probably the carrots as well. And then after that, I'll take out the chicken and shred it up just very coarsely. It doesn't need to be small pieces like what I do with the mixer. So it just is a coarse shredding and then it'll be ready to go. Okay, I'm going to finish this up very quickly. For many reasons, but here I have the soup. You can see I now have my chicken. I have gotten it shredded up. That cilantro is all well in there. It's definitely wilted as well. The soup is ready to go, but I wanted to add in that fried cabbage that I had told you guys about. So I'm going to just kind of take it off and just kind of take it just like that and add it in, and then I'll stir it in because I already know that I'm going to be the only one eating this from now on. So typically best case scenario is to take it straight from a hot pot, but that didn't happen today, so it may be a teeny bit more oily in my soup, but I'm not particularly worried about it. I don't know if y'all can see, there's a teeny little bit of juice or oil and whatnot there at the bottom that hopefully I'm hoping to avoid adding to the soup and the caldo. Probably not. It's probably all gonna get in there, but you know what? It's alright. you know what? It's still gonna be good. All right. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and stir that up a little bit. It's a lot of stuff going on in there, but it's yummy. Like I've already said before, if you don't like the cabbage, it's not necessary to add that in there, but it's definitely a good addition if you do like it. So for serving this bowl, I'm going to just start taking things out. I'm going to try to take from the bottom because then you're going to get more of the other vegetables too. You kind of want them to be almost wilted, withered, whatever is the word that you're looking for. You want to get that corn on the cob up in there. And then it depends on how much corn on the cob you want in there. If you don't want much corn on the cob, then you could probably put it in the bowl. If you were to have it to be the full size, like what was up in the other that I cut up in half at the beginning, then leave it outside the bowl so that it can cool down a little bit and stuff like that. You can see I've got the vegetables that I want. Now I can take my ladle and put in the juice, the caldo from, it's called caldo, even though this is called caldo de pollo. It's just the broth is what I'm talking about. The broth is called caldo itself. So I've got that there. I'm pretty much filling up the bowl with it. There we go. All right, next you can take a lime and either squirt it. You can do it either manually like I'm doing, or you can get one of them lime squeezers or whatever, put it in there. Typically, Hispanics like lime in any of, well, Mexicans, let me put it that way. I don't know about any other Hispanics, but I know Mexicans definitely, almost every kind of soup that they make, they add lime juice to it. Why, I don't know, but I like it too. Probably because it's delicious. That's probably one of the reasons why. But also, especially if you're getting any kind of beef soup, that's a good thing because then that lime has got some vitamin C in it. And the beef is got the iron in it, and then it helps you to absorb it that much better. Now, the only last thing that you want is a nice avocado. Hoping this won't be a little too ripe. I picked it up at the store today, and it was beautiful when I picked it up at the store, but then I took it and sat it next to my stove. Actually, that looks very pretty. That is very pretty. And if you notice, it came apart all by itself very easily. You don't necessarily have to cut it up. I have, in many times past, I've taken my spoon and just kind of scooped it out little by little. You can do that. You can do it like this. And I like it like this because, I don't know, the perfectionist OCD in me. Here we go. And I can just take it. If it's ripe, you can take it and just squeeze it out just like this. Oops. Sometimes if they're not ripe, I know that the guacamole video that I've got on my channel, those avocados were not ripe, so it did not come out like this. So, but there you go. And you've got all of it pretty much out. You can see that maybe. Here we go. Got pretty much all of it. This may have a teeny little bit of ripening that it could have done, but you know what? Hey, it's still good. And then I'll just get it mixed up when I'm at the table. This gets served with tortillas, and yum. So that's pretty much it. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that if you're still having some cold weather, feel free to make some caldo because it's nutritious. It is delicious, especially if you like all those vegetables. And you can use it for lots of things. I've even taken caldo to potlucks and things like that. It's not crazy expensive to make. And especially while right now everything is expensive, hey, you can bring something that's nutritious, delicious, help give your family a little bit better, hopefully a little bit better health. There we go. So I'm pretty sure that that's enough for today, and I hope that y'all enjoy my videos. If you do, feel free to click the like. If you have gotten any help from my channel, feel free to subscribe. Hopefully I can be helpful for you in the future, and otherwise have a delicious day.